What is going on, guys? And in this video we are going to talk about how we can create structs templates in our programming language. So structs, here we go. And the first thing that I want to say is that our computer, let's say, and our program knows nothing about the struct we are planning to use. Okay, so we maybe have some idea of some structure that we want to use for the needs of our program. And if you want to create this new variable of some new struct type, then what we should first of all specify is exactly how the structure should look like before we create a variable of this given structure. So basically what we have to do is we have to define the structure of the new struct. Simple as that. And by defining this new struct template, we are simply creating some new box template, okay? Just a template that we can use to create variables of this particular type. And I'm repeating myself because that's very important to understand the difference between using and creating the structure template and creating variables and creating these new boxes out of this particular template. So you may recall that we've been using simple variables or standard variables just like integer, double, float, char, and so on. And now we are going to use a new way of creating a box template and then creating box variables. So basically we already have multiple ready-to-use types of variables just like we've seen before, and that's cool. And now we want to create our new structure. So probably we can say that the first step to do so would be, let's say, to create the new structure. So for that we are going to use the word struct, okay? Let me use my laser here. So here you go. Here you can see struct. And this specifies, this whole structure template specifies not the variable that we are going to use, but rather just the struct template. So the keyword struct is a built-in keyword specifying that we are about to use something related to struct. Makes sense, right? And then you specify the structure name that it basically should generally be like a very descriptive name for the structure that you are about to create. Then we have these nice curly brackets. The curly brackets actually play here an important role in defining the structure's nature, okay? The curly brackets simply start a block, okay, a block which describes the fields that we are going to use as part of this structure, okay? So you specify the keyword struct, then you specify the structure name. Using the curly brackets, you specify what fields are going to be part of this new structure. And these types may be just like regular. And if we want to take a closer look, you know, like to take all of this structure and to look how it will look behind the scenes, so basically it will be something like that. Here are the smaller boxes, okay, which are just these fields, okay, under this structure. And we simply take a couple of smaller boxes, okay, and we put them, all of them, inside of this new structure template that we've just created under this structure name. No worries, guys. Once you will understand these concepts and you will see a couple of examples, everything will become much more clear to you. So no worries, just try to keep up the pace and let's proceed. Let's proceed to our couple of examples. Okay, so the first example that I want to show you guys is the example of creating a date structure. So simply saying, we want to have some new structure that will represent a date. And a date consists of, first of all, day, month, and year. Okay, so instead of specifying like day 1, int day 1, int day 2, int day 3, int months 1, months 2, and so on, we want all of the fields related to a given date be located under one structure. So we use struct we said that this is the keyword that we are going to use. Then we use and specify the structure template name. In this case, I want to create a date. So date is pretty good. And here we have 3 fields that are under this structure. So int day, int month, and int year. So that's how we create our struct template of date. Okay, and if we want to take a look at a couple of other examples, let's say we wanted to create, I don't know, like a point. Okay, if you're a little bit into math, so you know that you have a point which consists of x and y coordinates. So you know that a point is just can be represented by an x and a y values, and you specify int x, int y. You also could have used float x, float y, double x, double y. Okay, if you wanted floating point numbers. So that's also okay. That's how we create a structure template of point. So I think everything is clear so far, nothing complicated, right? We are moving on together to understanding this concept once and for all. Okay, guys? So the last example here is, for example, you want to create and to use as part of your program as awesome future developer, right? You also want to use some address, okay? So you want to have a structure that represents an address of some employee, of some person, or I don't know, if you're making some application that uses addresses, that may be a good way, maybe for some applications, to store it this way. So instead of using like char state of Bill, char city of Bill, char state of George, and so on, like for everybody, we are going to create a structure using this structure template to represent the exact address of any given person that we want to have in our application. So under this template, we will have the state. We will give it like 20 characters, let's say. For example, we will have the city of 10 characters, the street, which is represented by 15 characters, and also we will have the number of the street that will be represented as an integer. Okay, so you see we make here a lot of combinations between different variables and different data types, and putting them all under new structure template that we created, and we specify the structure template name here after this struct. So struct address, created a new struct address, created a new struct point, created a new struct date. And one thing, and it's very important to understand, guys, we just created in this video, at this stage, we just created the structure template. In the next videos, we are going to see how we can create variables, okay, actual variables that are represented in the memory of our computer of these particular types, just like we created int day, okay, whenever you were using different applications, you wrote int day, and in this step that you wrote in day, you created a new variable day. So what we are going to do is to create a new date that will consist of these fields, a new variable of type struct date that will have as its part int day, int month, and int year.